Hello everyone, Adam from the Tech Academy UK here, and in this video we're going to look at creating a very simple guessing game within Python. Now I'm not going to actually type out the whole script, and the reason for this is I think most people will find it boring or they'll just skip to the end of the video anyway. The code is in the description as well as the application I am going to be using within this video. The application is called PyCharm. There's a link in the description for another video I've created on how to install this application. So if you are unfamiliar with it, that is what it's called. It's called PyCharm. I'm not associated with it and it's a free application. So I highly recommend you do it because it's very efficient, or it makes you very efficient when typing, programming with Python. So let's look at this script. It's in the description. You may be looking at thinking, I don't have a clue what's going on here. And instead of me typing it out, I'm actually just going to explain each thing. It's a very simple script and it's very useful for beginners. So if you do have knowledge in Python, then I don't recommend this video. I'd recommend you just turn it off because you'll find it really boring because you already understand it. However, if you are a beginner, then I recommend you do watch it just to learn the actual code. Because like I said, most people will just go to the description, get the code, and then just run the script and then just play the game. But I recommend you do follow along so you sort of understand what is actually happening. So the very first thing is import random. This will allow us to generate a random number, and this is a range. So the range will be from 1 to 10. It includes 1 and 10. This is just a random number that we have to guess. You could set this range to anything. So you could set it from 1 to 1,000. However, bear in mind that you don't want the game to be too difficult, because to guess the number between 1 and 1,000 is very difficult. The odds are certainly not in your favor. So the next variable is tries. Now the reason I've added this is because you could play this with a friend, a family member, or someone else that you know, and compete with each other to guess the random number in the least amount of tries. So every guess you have will increment by 1. So if you have 3 tries, then it'll say, congratulations, you guessed the number within 3 tries. The aim of the game is to get it within the least amount of tries. So if your friend gets it in 6 tries and you get it in 2, then obviously you've won. The next thing is a flag. This is a Boolean variable called win, and I've set it to false, and I'll explain this later on because it'll make more sense once I've explained the actual script. The next thing was just a simple input. This is a username input. I've just called the variable name. You could call it username. So change it to username. And there we go. So this here is just takes a normal string input. It'll say, what is your username? You type in user1, and then it'll say print hello user1. Now you may not be familiar with this sort of print. Most beginners will actually print something like this. Hello, and then outside of the double quote type a plus sign and then username. That is typical of what a beginner would do, but I recommend formatting a sentence like this. You add an F, just the letter F, before the first double quote, and then in curly braces type the actual variable. So if I show you this, run this script, if I type user1 here, you can see there it says hello user1. That F stands for format, and that means you can actually type variables in between curly braces. Oh, didn't mean to do that. If I remove this F, you can see it goes back to normal string. So if I run the game again, it'll probably crash, but let me just see. If I type user1 here, it actually just says hello username because it's being treated as text. That is just normal text to it because it's inside the double quotes. You add the F and it'll go back to the variable. You want it to refer to the variable so it actually displays what the user types in. The next thing is a simple question. Normal input, would you like to play a game, yes or no? This is input by Y and an N. So if, and here we go, this is the first if statement. So if the question, their input, is an N, then just print, oh, okay. So that means they don't want to play the game. It's a really pointless feature of the script, but it's just to get you to understand if statements. So if they type N, it'll just say, oh, okay, and then exit the script, and then they don't want to play the game, so it'll just completely exit. They'll have to run the script again to be able to play it. The reason for the dot lower is because if they type a capital N does not equal N. So if they typed a capital N and this wasn't on the end, and they typed a capital N, then it wouldn't match here, and the script wouldn't understand it. So the dot lower will convert uppercase input to lowercase, because then it can compare the lowercase to the lowercase n. If you do the opposite, you have a capital N here and then dot upper, and then it would convert the lowercase to the upper and then compare the upper to the uppercase n. Hopefully that makes sense. Very basic sort of input validation sort of thing, because a capital N will not match up to a lowercase n, so the script can get confused and crash and stuff like that, or not even run. So moving on, that is the first if statement. Most people will obviously enter Y to play the game. Again, we need to convert the input to all lowercase. So if they import a capital Y, it will convert it to a lowercase y. Compare it to this here, and then obviously it matches, so then it'll print out, I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 10. So here's the bulk of the game. This is the heart of it. This is a while loop, and it's basically saying here, this might look confusing to some, but it says while not win, and essentially what this means is while win is not true. So while win is false. Think of it as like while the win flag is false. We set it to false, so it is false, therefore this condition is met. That means that this script here will actually run. It will run until the condition is not met, and the way it's not met is if they win the game. So while win is not true, and since we set it to false, it will run. So then it will ask for a guess. You input a guess. If you get, you input 5 and the guess is equal to the number, then it will set the win to true. This win flag has now become true from false. Therefore, when it goes back through this loop, it'll realize, hang on, while the win flag is now true. So therefore, this does not match the condition, and we'll just print out, congratulations, you guessed correctly. To go through that again, this just means while the win is not true. So while they haven't won the game, carry on making them guess. And once they've guessed it correctly here, set it to true, go out of this while loop because this condition is no longer met, because again, while it's not true, but this time it is after they've won, so it thinks, hang on, this condition is not met, and then it'll just print out, congrats, you guessed correctly. If they don't guess it on the first try, or any try in this case, then it will check the elif statements. So if you guess the number 5, but the number generated was actually 8, then it will do the first comparison here. So if the guess is less than the number, then guess higher. So basically, if you guess the number 3 and the number is actually 8, then it'll say guess higher, because obviously 8 is greater than higher. It's sort of like a hint. If you guess 6 and the number's 9, it'll say guess higher, so you guess 8 and it'll say guess higher again. And the same goes for lower, it's just the opposite. If the number generated is 2 and you guess 4, then it'll say guess lower. If you type in 3 and then it'll say guess lower again until you sort of get it, basically. It's sort of like just a hint. This will make more sense when I actually play the game. Like I said before, once this win flag is set to true, it will just display a congrats message. So let's run the script, and then I'll type a username. So user1. Hello user1, would you like to play a game? If I type a capital Y, it will still run the script. As you can see, it's converted it to lowercase and then compared it. It matches up. I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 10. So it's up to this point here. Then it's realized that the win flag is false, so it's run this while loop. We're at this stage now. So input have a guess. You can see here it says int input, and that is important because we want the input to register as an integer, not a string. The reason for that is the comparisons. You can't compare an integer and a string number. There's a difference between a number 1 like that and a number 1 like that. This is technically a word, and this is just an actual number. You can't add these two together. Hopefully that makes sense. So once we've got the integer input of 5, let's guess 5, and click enter. Guess higher. So I haven't got it right on the first guess. Now it's saying guess higher. So it's giving me a hint. It's obviously higher than 5, so I could guess 6. Guess higher again, so it's obviously higher than 6. I guess 9. Guess higher, so therefore, by a process of elimination, the only number left is 10. So if I guess that, click enter, it sets it to true because the number is equal to that, or my guess is equal to the number. And there we go. Congrats, you guessed correctly. The number was indeed 10. It had taken you 4 tries. That is this down here. Again, remember with the F, the tries in between the curly braces. And there we go. So I'm going to quickly go through it one more time while playing the game. So it's asking for the input. So we're at this point here. So hello, what is your username? I'll just type user1 again. And then hello, user1. Would you like to play a game? And then I'll type in Y. Click enter, and then here we go again. So I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 10. Automatically goes into the while loop because the win flag is false, while win is not true. Then it'll ask for a guess. So I'll just guess 7. Guess lower, 1. Guess higher. So it's obviously less than 7, but higher than 1. So 3. Guess lower. So the actual number it's generated is 2. So that again took me 4 tries. That's quite bad. So let me try again. I want to try and get it in 2 or 1 try. Let me see. So user 1, yes, 2. There we go. As you can see, I'm the best at this game. You know, you might as well all just quit now because I'm a genius. I got it in 1 try. I had a 1 in 10 chance. So you get the idea of the game. It's quite simple. Well, it's very simple actually, but it's just to get you to understand Python a little bit more and also basics of programming. If you are confused with anything, just leave a comment. You can message me. I can try and help you understand it a little bit better. But I think the more you go through this, the more it'll make sense. It's just this part that might catch people out. Again, all you need to do is think of it as while the win flag is not true, which means while it's false, while the win flag is false, run this script. Once it's set to true here, this breaks the condition, therefore it can't run this while loop anymore because the win is now true, which means it's not false. I can see how confusing that can be, to be honest. But then once it's broke the condition, it prints it out here, the congrats message and how many tries it had taken. I'm going to do one more user 2 this time, so I'll pretend I'm someone else, like I've actually got a friend. And would you like to play a game? Yes. A number between 1 and 10. 10. See, I told look, no one can compete with me on this game. I mean, that was another 1 in 10 chance. I don't know what the probability of that is twice in a row, but user 1. Let me try it again. Let's see if I can actually not get it right this time. There we go. It's obviously number 1, but I'll just guess 8, 2, 6. I'll see how many tries I can actually build up here. 10 and 1. So 9 tries. The message there is that the number was actually indeed 1. You could just cheat as well if you could learn. The best way to learn a new language is just by changing things. You could cheat and just print out the number right at the start of the game. So the number generated is 4. So user 1, watch it, just type 4, guessed it correctly. Obviously you don't want to do that, so just remove it. And hopefully you understand how this script's working, and once you start to learn it a little bit more, Python will become more familiar with you. And like I said, it's only for beginners this. If you are, you understand Python a bit more, then this was probably a complete waste of time, and I'm sorry about that. That will be the end of the video. I think I've explained pretty much everything. If you are interested in learning more about elifs, then I will have a video up on if statements and elifs as well. There's a slight difference between this and this, but that will be for a different video in my Python course. There is a link to the description for a beginner course within Python. So if you are interested in that, please go into the description and check it out. There will be a video on if statements uploaded shortly, so if you do want to understand the difference between if and elif and stuff like that, then please go and check that out. But apart from that, Hopefully that does cover some of this script and gives you a better understanding of it than me just typing it out and taking forever. So thanks for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.